What's up, Chiefs Kingdom? Noah Gray here, tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to Josh's channel and check out showmefootball.com for more.
What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back to another video on my channel. My name is Josh Fann of showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com, covering your Kansas City Chiefs. And this evening, I'm joined by my good friend, Michael D'Arcy, to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs regular season finale against the Denver Broncos, in which the Chiefs lost 38-0. Now, Michael, this is not something that we're used to seeing, but it should be considered, and everyone should know already that this game did not matter for the Kansas City Chiefs. They already had the 1 seed locked up. This was essentially a bye week for them. The only thing that could come out of this game is the Chiefs determining their playoff path, and I think we both agree, Michael, with the path that they chose, which is letting the Denver Broncos in instead of letting the Cincinnati Bengals sneak in. Not that that's why they did this, but that's just kind of an added bonus or whatever. But all that being said, there are some things to take out of this game for me personally. Some individual performances that I want to talk about as we head into the postseason, because there are players that played in this game that will still see snaps in the postseason for the Kansas City Chiefs. And there are players on this team that were not, or that start, or that are big contributing players that were not sat in this game. One of which, Michael, being Harrison Butker. And that's what I wanted to start with first, because I think that's the biggest thing that you can analyze in this one is him missing that 51-yard field goal. A kick that he typically makes and he missed, and that's one of a handful of misses that we've seen from him since he's come back from that knee surgery that he had that landed him on IR. Michael, are you concerned about Harrison Butker as we head into the postseason?
Yeah, I do have a little bit of a concern, and normally I wouldn't. And, Matt Derrick put out a tweet like he's, 8 of 9 on extra points, and he's like 3 of 5 from field goal range. And the only one that he missed was that one in Cleveland that was like under 30 yards. And then the one today. But I look at it more big picture. And if I'm correct, even the ones that he was making, those extra points and the 3 other field goals, the accuracy was much different. We've seen Harrison Butker drill a 58-yard field goal right down the middle. And it was just like he had the leg, he had the accuracy. We weren't really concerned, but his accuracy has been off a little bit. Even when he does make it, you're seeing him go a little bit more wide left. And, that's where he missed today. But he's a little bit more wide left even when he does make it. And Josh, in the postseason, with all that's on the line, we've seen him make some of the biggest kicks in Chiefs history. I'm not going to have that same level of confidence about Harrison Butker going out there and making a kick when the game's on the line, because he's been a little bit shaky this year, and he's coming back from an injury that, the Chiefs kind of rushed him back from. There's a lot riding on Harrison Butker's leg, and I am a little bit concerned that he's not going to be fully healthy come playoff time, and that could be a big issue for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. I think this is something to watch. And this is what we talked about on your channel as well. It seemed like that injury was bothering him for quite a bit before the Chiefs opted for him to get surgery. And it just kind of feels like that left them so little time at the end of the year for him to get back in a groove. And now he's having to try to find it in the midst of the Chiefs trying to make another Super Bowl run. And man, I hope it doesn't cost them a game, because we know that last year in the playoffs, every single Harrison Butker field goal mattered to this team.
And it's going to be the same thing this year. Like, I don't care that the offense on paper should be better. They're going to be heavily relying on Harrison Butker going out there and doing his job. And listen, there's another team in the AFC, the Baltimore Ravens. Justin Tucker has looked god-awful this year, and he could be someone that Baltimore just lets ride off into the sunset in the offseason, depending on how he performs come playoff time. I hope that Harrison Butker doesn't have the same fate, because he has been so good for so long. But we've kind of seen kickers just, once they're bad, they're bad. Like, you just can't use them anymore.
Yeah, no, it's kind of weird with kickers. It's like once they lose their mojo, they never get it back.
And I'm not saying that he's washed. I still think
Correct.
that, Harrison Butker can turn this thing around, but as of today, it is a concern. It's something that when the Chiefs send the field goal unit out, I'm going to be thinking, oh my gosh, can he make this kick?
Yeah, no, I'm right there with you. So that is one of our big concerns coming out of this game. Now, here's another one that I have, Michael. Najee Johnson. We didn't talk about this on your channel, but I wanted to bring up this conversation here on mine. And the reason we're talking about this, guys, is because these are all players that have seen significant snaps for the Chiefs this year and that will probably figure into the postseason rotation. Now, we did get the good news earlier this week that Jalen Watson is returning from IR a lot sooner than we thought as well. But they're still going to use other guys while they work Jalen Watson back in. And in my opinion, one of those guys cannot be Najee Johnson. He got cooked today. It feels like every time he's on the field, he gets cooked. And I understand that the Chiefs have been trying to get him an opportunity. Nate Taylor talked about early in the season that they were okay with the lumps and that they just wanted him to get experience. But at one point, you just say, he's not good. He's not an NFL level cornerback. This is not a guy that you can afford to put out there in the postseason, in my opinion. He has to be benched, and I would question his roster spot going into next year because, man, it has just been rough. Because even if you have him out there for a couple plays, the other team just picks on him, and they're going to go right at him. And when you get those better quarterback wide receiver duos that you have to match up against in the playoffs, you can't have Najee Johnson out there. It's just not going to go well.
Cortland Sutton, man. I mean, right away. They did not waste any time at picking on Najee Johnson. And once they had him on a go route down the field, oh, man. I mean, you knew that it was going to end poorly for the Chiefs, especially with just how poorly their defense played overall as a unit today. Yeah, Najee Johnson didn't do himself any favors. And thank God for Jalen Watson. I'll just say that. Thank God. Like, hopefully he does make that return because there's still a lot of speculation. Can he get healthy quick enough? Man, I mean, Najee Johnson could get shot in the leg, and him running out there would probably be better than Najee Johnson or Jalen Watson.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I mean, it's so bad to watch because it just feels like not only is he going to get beat, but he's going to get beat badly. Like every time he gets beaten, part of that is just playing cornerback in the NFL. But when he gets beat for like 40 yards instead of like, Trent McDuffie gets beat. It's like 15, 20.
Well, and the other thing I noticed about him too, and you may have noticed this in this game, Michael, but he cannot get off a block. Like when they run a sweep to his side, he cannot get off a wide receiver block.
And part of me wonders, like effort-wise, how much they were trying to get off of blocks today. Now, out of all the people to kind of dog plays and not take it seriously, Najee Johnson should be the last player not trying to give it 110%. Mm-hmm. But there was a play, I can't remember when it was. I think it might have been a touchdown where I was watching Joshua Williams. And I was just like, this guy doesn't care. Joshua Williams does not care to be out there right now. He knows that this team isn't serious about this game. I wonder how much maybe that mentality spread throughout different guys on the defense. And also just like, you're not blitzing. You're putting guys in one-on-one positions. You're running a base defense. And I just don't know how much they cared.
Yeah, no, I mean, they were definitely vanilla on defense today. Like you said, they didn't blitz at all. The coverages were nothing exotic like Spags likes to do. But that cornerback position is one that we talked about previewing this game. Can someone step up in that group? Now, that was before we got the good news about Jalen Watson, so hopefully it's not something we have to worry about as much now with him returning at some point. But that was a position group we were looking at and saying, hey, you need to empty the bench here and see what you have in these guys and see which one of them emerges, if any of them. And Najee Johnson just could not have done any worse, I feel like, and an opportunity for him to maybe prove himself as that guy when Trent McDuffie is not there or Jalen Watson is not there.
Well, and Josh, the entire secondary wasn't good today, and we're talking about Najee Johnson. I think that says something because, in a game where Bo Nix was like 17 of 17 passing in the first half and leading over into the second, like this defensive back room was so bad today, and yet we're still talking about Najee Johnson above all else. Like he was probably the worst guy out there, which in this position with his job on the line, it's not what you wanted to see.
No, absolutely not. I kind of they signed Steven Nelson. He's still in the practice squad. I just cannot fathom that even him taking a step back physically is not better than Najee Johnson. I hope he gets elevated at some point.
Steven Nelson was like kayaking when the Chiefs were playing the Steelers on Christmas. I don't know what he's up to, but I would hope that he is in the building come, tomorrow. Well, actually, they're not even going to get back to Kansas City till tomorrow because they can't leave Denver with KCI shut down. But I feel like if he's not practicing the next availability he can, like, we should probably write off Steven Nelson potentially playing at any point because, like, I mean, with how bad the secondary was today and all the, young guys that got a shot to play, we saw Joshua Uche play today, Josh. Like, that was not going to happen, barring any.
Well, I was going to say, and I thought he did good.
Seed. Yeah, no, he wasn't bad.
But here's the last player I want to talk about, and then we'll go ahead and wrap up this video because I think this is another big thing to watch. So DJ Humphries got significant run at left tackle finally after nursing that hamstring. He looked okay, and then we got to the third and fourth quarter. Started to get beat a little bit. Now, I know there was one player where he looked kind of confused and maybe thought he had chip help and didn't and got beat. But he started to get whipped up on a little bit as the game went on. And we kind of have already agreed about this several times, Michael, but I just think that this is a guy that he didn't look good enough to where he's undoubtedly your left tackle in the postseason.
No. And I feel like, unfortunately for him, it was an uphill battle to be the starter after getting hurt against the Chargers in his first week, and then Joe Thuney stepping over and looking as good as he did at left tackle. It was going to be difficult for DJ Humphries to ever win that job back because, the Chiefs have fallen under the, motto that if it's not broke, don't fix it. And it wasn't broke under Joe Thuney, but there is an element of uncertainty with DJ Humphries. You don't know if he can play. You don't know if he can start consistently. I don't think that he showed anything in this game that the Chiefs are going to be super excited about. So excited that they would make him the starter in the divisional round. I still think that Joe Thuney will start at left tackle because it's worked so far this season. You saw him go up against some of the best edge rushers in football, no sacks. So it's just like, I don't think that, DJ Humphries looking all right against the Denver Broncos, I don't think that's going to move the needle at all.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I think you got to stick with what's been working, play the hot hand. Don't mess things up with a guy who's hardly been there, has hardly blocked for Patrick Mahomes at all this year. But those are the questions that we're asking the Kansas City Chiefs as we head into the postseason, guys. I know there wasn't too much to talk about from this game, but I felt like those were talking points worth bringing up. So we want to hear from you guys down in the comments below what your thoughts are on all of those and what your concern level is for those guys. But otherwise, Michael, this game didn't really mean anything. The Chiefs rested just about everyone that mattered. I'm not saying the Chiefs aren't going to win the Super Bowl because they lost in the last game of the regular season. Do not care. I think we kind of all expected this for the most part, but we're going to go ahead and wrap it up there, guys. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this. And then, Michael, before we go, where can the people find you?
You guys can find me on YouTube at KC Sports Report. That's kind of the one-stop shop for everything that I do. And Josh, the final thing that I will say is that we had the exact same amount of passing touchdowns that Carson Wentz had today.
Why'd you have to throw Carson Wentz under the bus like that? I was hoping he'd do better. But here's the thing, and I'll say this one more thing before we sign off, but they did not do him any favors.
No.
Well, in the defense, we talked about this a little bit on your channel in that video that we just recorded beforehand, but the defense was so bad in this game that Carson Wentz hardly got a shot. I mean, Denver Broncos won the time of possession battle by almost half an hour. I mean, that's how lopsided it was.
I wonder what Andy Reid's going to tell him after the game. Like, all right, guys, on to the divisional. Like, now it's when it actually matters.
Yeah, but I was hoping we'd get to see a little bit more Carson Wentz. I still think the arm talent's there, but that's a topic of discussion for another day. But yeah, guys, go ahead and subscribe to Michael D'Arcy over at KC Sports Support. All of his stuff will be down in the description as always. As for me, you can check out my work on showmefootball.com and arrowheadaddict.com for more. Follow me on showmefb. All that being said, we are signing off. It's been good. It's been a good season. Now we're on to the postseason. We'll see what happens, but Michael and I will be here to cover it. So we'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, go Chiefs.